When I was a kid, I loved the old novels of adventurers who traveled the world. They saw exotic countries in their unspoiled form and brought back fantastic stories, especially from the locals and their eccentricities. I ran my finger over the maps in the atlas and I wondered, how are people living in those distant countries? What are they busy with? What are they laughing about? It became my dream to find out for myself and have adventures on my own. One day, a good friend brought a couchsurfer to our circle of friends. Mette from Denmark, a German teacher, traveling the country to practice the language. She was a nice girl and we had fantastic conversations with each other. She seemed to be very happy to sit in our round, even though she just met us. She explained couchsurfing to me. You log into a website and you find hosts to stay with the recommendations of other guests, or you offer your own place for others for free. But it's not about that. It's about the concept of staying with strangers that you find online or meet on the way. This concept sounded exciting to me, yet I was still scared a bit. Do I have my privacy there too? What if the host is completely awkward at home? 1 year later, I was giving it a shot when a friend invited me to join him to a trip to South Korea. And you know what was my first impression? It was terrible. It was uncomfortable. We were sleeping on some towels on the floor in this one-room apartment. The air was sticky, it was loud from the traffic outside, and in the middle of the night, a dog was licking our faces. So you might wonder, why did I not leave and look for a hotel? The answer is, I noticed that what I get in return is worth so much more than comfort. My host in Seoul was Jun. He was an artist, living from drawings, graffitis, and street art. He introduced us to his artist friends. He showed us the basic rules of eating, drinking, and daily life in Korean culture. He took us to his favorite bars and gave us so many insider tips. He did everything he could to make us happy. And so did all the other hosts that followed. In St. Petersburg, Olga was inviting me to her family's dacha. She had traveled herself a couple of years and spent some of them in Southeast Asia, so we had a lot of topics to talk about. She gave me precise instructions on how to get to this small village far outside of the city, which train to take and what to tell a taxi driver in Russian. With her, I got to know the ruins of an abandoned Soviet youth camp, the herbs of the forest, and Russian cooking for beginners. In Albania, Rowena was living in the capital Tirana. She was troubled because of a problem in her company where they blamed her for a large loss of money. However, she and her American couchsurfer, Gabby, decided spontaneously to accompany my friends and me to a road trip through the country. Only because of her, we found secret waterfalls and hidden gorges. We learned Albanian dances and got invited to her family in the middle of the mountains, far away from any paved road or people speaking English. One day I found myself not only dancing on a wedding of strangers, but also holding a microphone in my hand and giving a speech to a bride, a groom, and about 500 Albanian guests, which I've never met in my life before. In Yakutsk, in the far east of Russia, a young lady with a kid hosted my friend and me in a huge panel building. When I asked her about her job, she said, "I'm plankton. I work in an office doing the same as everyone else." She showed us historical sites and even ice caves around the city. And she introduced us to Siberian cuisine and to the fact that frozen horse liver is actually a delicacy. It's not. We left town in an old Tupolev airplane, mainly held together by spit and vodka. Taking hunting guns into the cabin was apparently also not a problem. The purpose of our trip was we wanted to paddle in an inflatable kayak from a river north of the Arctic Circle to the huge Lena River. However, everything went wrong. Our river had dried up, but we found help from a local tribe of reindeer nomads. They hosted us and they took us to another river. Okay, it was a murderous whitewater river, but with more luck than good judgment, we made it to get back to where we started, and we returned to our host in Yakutsk. And you know what? Today, my friend and her are married with each other and have 2 kids. They're not strangers anymore. The book Couchsurfing in Iran from Stefan Ort inspired me to travel this country with a friend and a lot of enthusiasm, but without any reservations or a plan. Couchsurfing is officially banned in the country, as is dancing, drinking alcohol, having fun, or letting women walk around without a headscarf. However, we got about 10 to 20 invitations alone in every city. People were inviting us even off the streets to their home to share food, place, and stories. This family squeezed together in their children's room just to leave the big bedroom for my friend and me. Several times, young people invited us to their secret apartments. Young guys putting money together to rent a place for themselves. They had to lie to their families, pretending to be working overnight to be able to meet there, have parties, drink alcohol, play video games, listen to loud music, and have girls visiting. Things which are completely normal for me at home. We arrived at one place, and our host, Said, apologized to us that they're having a birthday party. Cheered on by foreign guests, this cozy round escalated into 4 consecutive nights of partying. I have never been drunk for so many days in a row as when I was in Iran. One morning, I had a very bad hangover. My hosts showed me, they were very excited to show me that the eyes and the brain of a sheep are actually a delicacy for breakfast. Again, they're not. I have been multiple times to Iran and to Russia, especially in countries with a more difficult political situation. I found that the most generous hosts. People even sometimes had to take personal risks to take me into their place to share their lives and thoughts with me. Not only once I had the impression that people want to make up for the government's bad reputation. Also, I prefer to stay on people's couches rather than hotels when I'm on business trips. My boss still thinks that I'm crazy. Just 2 weeks ago, I spent a wonderful time in Serbia, visiting our office in Belgrade, where my wonderful host Uroš was showing me the Balkan way of life, but also the struggle of the nation with its past. You don't have to go far either. Here in this country too, I was taken in by Germans and I had a fantastic time being taken into their lives. But taking in strangers at my place, I was still hesitant to host someone and had my concerns. Is my stuff safe? Only because I'm not doing anything stupid doesn't mean that others wouldn't. And what do I even do with them? Like, what can I offer? Well, my ex-girlfriend had just moved out. I had a lot of space and time all of a sudden, so I gave it a try. And right away, I got a request from Paula from the USA, who was working temporarily in Germany and wanted to explore the country. I came up with a simple tour of the city, showed her my favorite places. She was so impressed by every little thing that I showed to her. And remarkable and funny situations just came out of the blue. Again and again, I was inviting people, strangers, to my place. People from Ukraine, from Turkey, from Russia, all over Europe, all over the Americas. And also other Germans, like Jonas. He visited the city for a conference where he presented his world speed record in cycling fast from Lisbon to Vladivostok. He's now the first man to have done a triathlon around the world. Frequently, the world knocks on my door and makes itself comfortable on my sofa. You know what I noticed? Sharing life with strangers is beautiful. You gain a lot, and you give a lot, and that makes you happy too. You boost your self-confidence because you go to the unknown and you return with so many tales that no one believes you. You know that you find friends everywhere. I'm still in contact with almost all of them. You know that you can go everywhere and talk to people on the street and find help or a place. You realize that you can never get lost again. And you realize how lucky you are, how beautiful your life is when complete strangers join in at your place and enjoy what you show and what you share with them. One lesson I learned was the more things that go wrong, the more stories you can tell. I learned the balance between being naive and being careful. But whenever I was in trouble on the way, a stranger showed up and helped me. My dream came true. Every trip, I returned with more fantastic stories of micro-adventures with locals. And I learned more than any documentary or book could teach me. The stories of the guests also become part of my mind and inspire me, influence me, and make me thinking. They make me aware that the life of strangers is also full of real problems, and it's not all about fun and cultural exchange. In the news you can see the reports of terrible fate of people. It made me join a refugee aid organization 2 years ago, and I try to help people in from distant countries, even if I don't meet them. Right now, I'm pushing this idea of sharing life with strangers to the next level, and I include my family. I'm about to start a 10-month trip to South America with my Iranian girlfriend and our 8-month-old kid. And we're looking forward to the strangers that will host us there. Finally, I want to encourage you. Try it out. Do it yourself, here in Freiburg. There are strangers sitting next to you. Get to know each other. Invite each other over to your homes and to your lives. Thank you.